Okay, so anybody that doesn't know, my name is Jonathan. I'm your IDEX field support representative for your radiology system. So you just got a brand new IDEX digital radiology system. Welcome. Real quick hardware, it's a touchscreen monitor, keyboard, mouse, PC. Just behind the PC, it's called the power box. The power box is what connects to the detector, which sits in the tray. Configuration wise, it's very similar to what you guys already had. So it shouldn't be like we're reinventing the wheel at all. When you turn the computer on, that's the power button right here on the top of the tower. The login to, when you turn on the computer to log in, you're just going to put in, I wrote the password on here for you, Lumpy Tiger 22. So you can change it if you need to, but it's just a random password that gets created. From there, this is the desktop. You've got two icons right here that we're going to talk about. The white one is Local Packs. That's the software you're going to use to capture all of your images. And then the one next to that is Web Packs, which you guys probably are already aware of somewhat, because you've been sending images there already, I saw. So, to start, this screen will pretty much always be up. When you're over there at another workstation in InfraMed, you'll go ahead and put the charge in for the radiograph, and that'll automatically trigger a request over here in the pending list. So for example, we put in a request for buddy test earlier, and then the request showed up over here in the pending list in Local Packs. If for any reason you don't want to create a request, there are a few other ways to start a study. So you can search for the patient in the search bar up here. And then once the patient card is displayed, you hit the little blue icon in the top right corner to begin a study. One thing to keep in mind if you ever do stat, and fortunately we just did a little test here with IDEX support so we can show you what that's going to look like. Once you complete a stat study, you're going to get the patient card up on the home screen, and it's going to be labeled stat. And this is essentially like it's creating a patient record for a patient named stat. So it's like, here stat, here boy. Okay, so that can get confusing if you don't reassign it, because after a while you get a whole bunch of images and they're all under the same patient named stat. With that said, you also will not see the images in Web Packs. So when you go to view the images online, they won't be there because you haven't reassigned it to a proper patient yet. So that's kind of the fail-safe. All you have to do is click on this little button right here to reassign. You type in the name of the patient that it should be. So in this case, I can just type in test. Search, here's my test patient, so I can highlight that, click reassign, and then it's going to move the images over to the proper patient card. Okay, super easy. It's just important that you do that as soon as the dust is settled, and you can. Obviously, when it's an emergency, you got to rush and do things, but as soon as you're able to, it's good to do that.
Quick question.
Yep.
Say we take them under the wrong patient.
Yep.
Can we do the same thing, reassign them that way? Or
Yep.
Not? Yeah.
Same process. Yep.
What info will it give us if, I'm sure this will never happen, but
Never.
somebody takes one of these stats and doesn't come back, rushes off with it, isn't able to come back. On the stat patient, does it say at least like what they took, what time it was, so when we're trying to investigate and figure out who this patient might be?
So your basic DICOM tags will be there. So you'll have date, time. Obviously, you'll be able to see on the image, I guess, like breed somewhat. You can. I mean, species. You know what I mean. So, you should be able to differentiate. You'll have to play a little bit of Sherlock Holmes, because you're looking at like timestamps and what time were they in the building and that kind of thing. But yeah, you should be able to deduce. It's just a pain. That's all. So let's go ahead and start with this buddy test. I'm going to click on the blue icon here to start capture. And all three of those methods are going to take us to this screen right here, which is called the visual shot tree. And this is where we select the images that we're going to take on for the patient. This. Voila. That's what I was trying to get to earlier. My goodness. So, this is the visual shot tree. Just highlight whatever part of the body you want to examine. So for example, we do an abdomen series, abdomen right lateral and VD. And so your images begin to populate here. When you're done selecting all of the shots that you need, you'll hit done here to close the shot tree. If you have more shots to select, there's no limit to how many you can choose. You can do multiple parts of the body. Okay. Once you hit done and move to the capture screen, you're going to hear a beep and see that green button light up.
I rose the table. I was like, what am I doing?
Nope. That's just letting you know that the detector is in ready mode. So as soon as you press down on the pedal, it's going to receive the image and send it up here to the screen. So with that said, we've got our list of images that we're going to work our way down. The first one we have, say hypothetically, would be our abdomen lateral. So at this point we would want to measure the patient in position. Depending on whatever that measurement is, we're going to select our range down here. So this is our technique chart. So essentially if it's like 7 centimeters, we would select 6 to 10. That'll give us our values. And then over here, we'll adjust our KVP and MAS to match whatever these values are. Once that is set, position, collimate, the better you do that, the better the image comes out. Nothing changes there.
The table still stays at 40.
Yep. Yeah. Nothing. Yep. And you still fire. Well, as soon as you fire, the image is then going to show up here on the screen. Let's go ahead. Let's take a dummy shot. Okay. So as soon as it's done with the image, it's going to beep again, letting you know it's ready for the next one, and it's going to auto crop the image. As far as the auto crop is concerned, if it's adequate, move on. What I mean by that is everything in the image if it's anything that's being cut off. So for example, if it's like this, then you should come over here and adjust the auto crop. So you can just click whatever edge you need to fix, drag it with the left click, and you can adjust.
So you need to adjust it before you take your next image?
Only if it's not adequate. So 99.9% of the time, it's gonna be just like this. And you're gonna look over, you're gonna be like, okay, and you're gonna take the next shot. If for any reason it, didn't like it and it did that, then you just need to make sure you adjust it before you take the next shot. Because as soon as we take the next shot, it's going to apply this crop to the image, and you won't be able to go back and edit that afterwards.
And what happens if we don't like that image at all and we want to reshoot?
That's a great question. So over here, after we've taken the image, these buttons will then appear. So we have retake and replace. Retake will keep the original, replace will delete the original. So if it's a diagnostic image, I would just do retake, in which case you'll just do the image again. If it's a non-diagnostic, like the dog jumped off the table in the middle of the shot, then you'll just do replace.
So you said replace deletes it.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. Ideally, you're not having to adjust the crop every single time. If that's happening, then we would strongly consider turning off the auto crop and just doing manual crop so that you're not wasting a bunch of time being inefficient. Other than that, down here there are some tools, but again, because this is the raw file, we don't really want to do much to it. We haven't saved it yet, is what I mean. Down here we've got L and R. We can add a left-right marker. But aside from that, I wouldn't really do anything else to the image. I wouldn't zoom in, I wouldn't adjust brightness and contrast or do any of that stuff. Not until you get to web packs. And honestly, as far as the doctors are concerned, I doubt you guys are even going to be looking at much of local packs at all. As soon as we hit done to save all of the images, that's going to send everything to web packs automatically. And then within a minute, you'll be able to go into VetConnect Plus and look at all of the images in web packs and then adjust brightness and contrast, zoom in and out, add annotations, do vertebral heart score, whatever you need to do, you can do from there. And you always have the ability to restore the image to that original file that was submitted. This, again, has not been saved yet. So if I start making changes, I don't have a file to go back to. So it's just really important that we kind of resist the urge until we've saved it.
So after you click save on there, can you do it from there? Because I've seen doctors oftentimes have them look at the images on here first. Okay.
You can, yeah, absolutely. The difference is the viewer is a little bit different, but that's not really a big deal. And with that, there are some tools that are not available in local packs that are available in web packs. Okay. So the experience is slightly different because of that. There's two other additional features within the capture screen that I want to cover. So the first one is if you're doing a bone shot that is surrounded by a lot of soft tissue. So this is something on the torso, basically, not a extremity or the skull. Maybe shoulder, spine, pelvis, that kind of thing. Any one of those kinds of shots, it's going to ask you, basically, is the measurement greater than a certain value? So sometimes it's 10 centimeters. In this case, if it's pelvis, it's asking, is it thicker than 15 centimeters? You don't have to do an additional measurement. It's the same measurement that you're doing for your technique. It's just you're taking that number, and if it's greater than 15 centimeters, you want to check that box. Because it's what it's going to do is apply an extra layer of filtering to kind of reduce all that fat scatter and bring out the contrast in the bone. Just really make the image look better. Okay? If you forget to check the box, you take the image and you're like, oh, that doesn't look good, we could do it again, but better, just do retake and then check the box the second time when you do it. So you do have to check it before you take the image, but if for any reason you forget, just do retake. Not a big deal. The other thing I wanted to show you is on an image that's already been captured, you have enhanced contrast. So this is a tool that's available during the capture screen. And it's for those patients where you're having a really hard time kind of getting that image quality that you're chasing, especially with a big dog for maybe a chest shot. Sometimes it's really hard to get like really good contrast on those. This is a tool that's available, so in that kind of scenario, instead of trying to just keep retaking shots and adjusting technique and just really going nuts with radiation, you can try just selecting that button there. What it's going to do is create an additional image. So you select the body part. So you have abdomen, cardiac, which is chest, or orthopedic, which are going to be your bones or extremities. So you would select which one of those three, say OK, and it's going to create a copy of the image, but with that enhanced contrast applied to it. So there you go. So in this case, you can look at this one. That's the original, and then this is with the enhanced contrast.
So if you just put the left and right marker on, just click it, it'll automatically put it on there for you?
If I want to add a marker.
Notice that you put it on the bottom. Okay.
Yep. You put whatever corner you want it to go in.
Okay.
So if I wanted to go up here, I can go there. It's basically, when you're looking at the image, you're looking for wherever the most free space is or whatever. That's all. But yeah, as you can see, it kind of does like a manual adjust to all the contrast settings. So you might find, if you're looking at a chest shot, this might get it to where you need to without having to go crazy adjusting things.
And what is that option called again?
It's called enhanced contrast. Okay. Any questions about capture?